Hello and welcome to Matt's Rocks. I've lost the footage for this video for the first part of it. This is the third cutting video for this new batch of Brazilian agates. And I've already cut the rocks now. I had a whole 10 seconds of footage of the intro. only I think I shut it off. Somehow I must have deleted the wrong part of it. Maybe it put the second part in front. I don't know. Maybe it just shut off before I even got to it. But anyway, the footage is gone. But this is the first agate. I should be looking through my glasses. You can see it's already cut, but this is the first one. It had this nice little druzy spot on the back, but I don't know that I'll keep any of that. And it was so hollowed out here, it was going to be, I figured I'd just cut the whole thing. The first one I cut was this one here, and I only cut it in half. And as you can see, it's busted off on the sides. It comes around two sides of it, basically. Actually, it goes from here clear around to here, so I guess that is two sides. And but it's also got two fractures here and another fracture up here. And so I decided I didn't want to make. Oh, it's got another fracture there too, right up here. And then right here's the other one. And they meet right here, somewhere in there, right there. There's the one on the side, and then another part goes this way. But anyway, so I just cut it in half, and then here's the third one. Let me get it all up here. I had a heck of a time getting the first one back together the way it was supposed to be because it was so unevenly shaped all the way around that it made it hard to figure out how I'd cut it, especially since how I cut the first one in half, and then the other ones I cut in half to begin with also. Well, the first one, this was the second one. That first one that I showed you was the second one, and I cut it in half after I got the first section off of it because I wanted to get a thin sliced one, and that's this one here. But I'll show you that after this. But anyway, this is the third one, and it was all busted out here along the bottom. So that's why I decided to just, I wasn't sure how many other fractures was going to be in there, and I just wanted to make sure that I didn't have to worry about it making it where I had to bust up a pattern, because I hate busting up patterns that don't stand for themselves. Usually if it's a circular pattern, whether it's longer or whatever it is, if it's a real long oval pattern or a small circular pattern that goes across, I don't want, and it's too long to make a cab out of, then I don't want to cut it in half. I'll make a sample out of it. But that's the third one, and this is the 26th, and I finished cutting them yesterday and finished washing them off today, and did the final show of the agates themselves after I cut them up. And I'm going to polish these two for the next video. These are the two halves of that last one, or the two end pieces off that last one. I'm just going to make them kind of oval cabs and cut them down and all that. But the other two On the other one, there's not really, I don't think I'm going to get a whole lot out of them as far as anything that looks, I don't see any patterns. There's a little bit of pattern in the one, and this one here, but I don't think it's enough to worry about. Although I haven't shown them with the light coming through from the back. I haven't even looked at them with the light coming through from the back. I might be able to get one out of that. It's going to be skinny because this area here is a little thin and broken too close to the edge, and I'm going to lose that part and probably this end too, more than likely, because it's so thin, and then part of this edge up here. I already broke a little piece off of this on the other end of this video, and then the other one, it has really nothing in it. It's not really got anything in it other than down here, which is the same as that other end. It's this bottom line is a fracture, so I'm not going to be able to keep any of that, I don't think. I'm not sure. It's been healed, I do believe, but I think I'll just tumble this piece anyway, just to keep from having to worry about it. But I'm going to go ahead and we'll get to the showing part of the video, because this is the only part I have to film right now. I got the other stuff loaded up in the computer, was getting ready to edit it, and that's when I found out I had four thumbnails on the first camera, on this camera, and then I had just the one on the second camera, and that's only because I had three thumbnails. It's because I only had two for the ending, and I had three on the first one, but I deleted one of them because it was in selfie style, where it was real thin on the screen. So instead of being full screen, it was like an Instagram thing or whatever. I don't know. I'm not on any of that other social media stuff, Instagram or Facebook or any of that, Twitter. I guess it was an old Twitter format. I don't know. I turned selfie off because I was filming. I was thinking that happened on this camera, but it was on both cameras, and I don't know how that happened because I never put this one on, turned selfie mode on this one. I tried turning selfie mode on that one, so I didn't have to hit the little button on the side of the screen here on my monitor that's on the camera, and change it where my joystick would work the gimbal on the top of the camera instead of zooming in and out. And I found out that you can zoom in and out and turn side to side, but you can't raise up or down. And if I'd have known that, that would have helped a lot. but I figured that out. But anyway, we'll get to the next part, and I'll see you then. Okay, I'm back. It's time to look at these agates. I got 3 of them cut. The first one I cut, I think I did cut the first one in half first. First one I cut, let me wet it down here real quick. There's the first one. And I'm just going to make it a sample like it is. I'm going to polish the first half and the second half. And if you remember from the beginning, it has this fracture coming across, coming down through here. It's got, looks like 2 more coming across down through here. Now those might just be surface fractures. but I'm not sure. And this one had, or this side had a fracture right along here, so I'm not going to try to cut that open. Somebody else can if they want to. I'm just going to polish these. I think they'll be better as a big sample. I'm not sure, but either way, I'll still be able to get rid of them, more than likely. I keep saying that, and I keep thinking that I know how much is going to be I'm going to be getting out of them, but I know I'm not anywhere near close, because I've never sold. The only ones I've sold 5, I think, and I think I got 15 bucks out of them. But they were smaller cabs for a guy that did silversmithing. They were preformed cabs. Let me go ahead and show you all these on the other camera where it's where I can zoom in on stuff, and we'll go from there. And there's the fractures. You can see there's one running up through here, one running up through here, and this one coming down through here. And I don't know whether they go all the way through or not, but knowing my luck, they do. There's the other one. And there's the fracture running through it. It comes all the way from back here and up like this and all the way down and around and back this way. I don't know where. It probably ends up right here, because it looks like this one. No, that one comes across there and over. And this side looks like it ends here, but this may be the rest of it coming up through here. I'm not sure. But I don't want to take the chance of cutting that and messing the rest of it up. I think it's a nice sample. It's got better colors than some of the others that I've had. It's a little easier to see. Okay, here's the second one. Let me set this over in my tray over here on my cabber and kind of spread it out a little bit where I could wet it down completely. And I think this one here I cut in half first. And I think this is the first half I cut. And here's the end. And I'm just going to make a freeform cab out of it. I'm probably going to lose all of this here, because that looks like a fracture coming across through there. It's probably healed, but I don't know if I trust that line very much. But it's also really thin, especially down here in the middle, so I'll probably have to grind all that off and this little piece here that I just broke off, I'll probably have to grind that down, because it's going to be too thin to use for anything. Here's the next one, and you can see the fracture down here on the bottom of it. There's another fracture coming up this way, so I don't know how much of that one I'm going to be able to use. There's the other side of it. This is the next piece. There's the other side of it. And then there's the other side of that. And the next piece, I should say, not the other side, it's a different piece. There's still a fracture going along this bottom, but it was fractured down here anyway. That's why I cut it that way. And then I cut this piece thin, partially because I wanted to see if it had any iris in it, just in case. But I also decided I'm going to use it as a chain pull for my lights here in the shop, because I've got a jasper on one, I got a Brazilian agate on two others, and then a piece of that snakeskin agate, which is just basically a milk agate, kind of, sort of. It's white rather than clear. And I'll use it for a chain pull. Here's the rest of it. Now the fracture's gone on this piece, except for right there. And this was the end piece, or this was right next to the end piece. That was the very end piece, but when I cut it, I put it in the saw and thought I had it flat compared to the rest of it. I was on this side, no wonder. That's what I ended up with. I think it came loose on me because this end is tapered pretty good. Well, no, it's still straight. I think I had one come loose. I had to take my blade off. So it was like it was warped. It was wobbling when you turned it on until it got up to speed, and then it stopped wobbling, but it didn't stop completely. And I realized that piece that I broke on it, that washer that was raised up, and this has the turtle back on that outside edge too. All of these do. I forgot to mention that at the first. Hopefully you noticed it. And this one is not too appealing, and I don't think that might look like a fracture. I don't know if you can see the dark lines there. That's where my blade stopped on me. No, that was the next one. But anyway, here's the end piece. That's not the one I had the trouble on, but I had put a new blade on. I put the new blade on there and cut the first agate and a half, and on the second half. So I guess this was the one it did stop on. No, it was this. Yeah, it was this half that it stopped on. Let me see if I can find the right side. Okay, that would probably be this side here, I think. No, let me set this in here in my tray and wet it down. I don't know which half. I'll find it I'll see it when I find it. And this is the end piece, and I'm going to make a kind of an oval cab out of it too. I don't know that it's going to be a preform shape. I'm going to see if I can't find a preform shape that I can put the outline on here and then just cut it as as close as I can on this side, because it's going to be hard to cut with setting that on the saw to make the cut. But I need the sides to be 90 degree or less than a 90 degree, just so that I'm not taking too much off the bottom part of the stone. And here's the second one. I kind of like this agate. That's not the side. And I don't know why I'm setting it down there. I need to set it back over here where it goes. Or where I could watch it. There's the next piece. It's got all this dark coming down in that. That's kind of different. And it's from this, that may be the fill area. I don't know for sure. But it looks like it's got two pockets that are coming together here. But there's like a floater eye in the middle of this one, and then this has got a floater in the middle of it too. So I don't know if they'd call those floaters, because there's no quartz in there, other than the quartz that's in it making it white like it is. Okay, maybe it was on the first half of the second one. There's the next one, and that one's pretty good sized. I didn't get it, I wasn't able to cut it like I wanted to. And I could go ahead and cut that in half again, but I think I'll just make a bigger cab out of it, or a bigger sample maybe. There's the next piece. Actually, let's go from the back again, because I want to find that spot. There's the other end piece, and you notice it's got water line down on the bottom of it here. I lost some of that. I lost that all before I got to that other half. And there's the next piece. And I like that these are a little bit smaller cabs. Okay, this is the one. My blade stopped on me. Well, maybe this ain't the one. I was like a third of the way through a cut, and the blade stopped completely. And I figured out that the reason why is when I put that new blade on there, or opened it up to fix that, the oil, and it was so full of stuff and it had floating debris in it. I mean, it was soupy all the way to the top. It took me forever to get it to drain out. But anyway, so I had to drain it and put new. I went to town to try to find some oil, mineral oil, and I couldn't find any place in town that's got anything but quarts of mineral oil in it. And it was mineral oil light, and it was for a laxative for cattle or horses or something. It was at Rural King, and it was in the feed section, the animal section. I can't find it. I thought it had slicked up part of it pretty nice. I thought it had made it where there weren't no kerf marks in it anywhere, for just about that much of a space, because it had cut all the way into like here. Yeah, about like here. and that's when the blade stopped. But the washer that I had on there to replace that spacer that came with it wasn't the right size. And that's all of them. So I can turn around and talk to the other camera now. Anyway, the washer that I put on the outside of the blade after I put the blade on the shaft was not a 5/8 hole in the center of it. So I centered it as best I could, but I figured out why that other one had to be so big after I got back with another washer. I'd found some washers that had 5/8 holes, but then they were wider washers too. They were like fender washer type thing, or not a fender washer, but they were just a bigger flat washer, and it was a little thicker than the two that I'd bought to try to put on there that didn't have the 5/8 holes. No, the two that I bought. No, I did put the two that I bought on there that had 5/8 holes, and that's when the blade stopped. But I think I pushed it in. The plate that it goes up against when you put the saw blade on there is not flat all the way straight across. It's indented in from the edges, so it's got a cup to it. And if you put a regular washer on there, if it's not all the way out to that outer edge, it's going to push in the center hole. Around the center hole, it's going to push that in, and that's going to kind of warp the blade a little bit. I think I can fix it. I laid it on the table and couldn't really tell that it was warped. So what I'll do is just take I've got a body working set, and I'll take it, and I've got a steel block about this big that's about that thick, and I'll just set it on there and take my flat body dolly on and set it on top of it, and tap it around the center, see if I can get it squared up again, and reuse it, because there's nothing wrong with it. But I put the new blade on there, and that's why I got these good kerf marks on this one. If we compare the two, actually there's nothing wrong with that one either, because that one was with the old blade, or the newest old blade. And they're not as bad either. They're not as bad as the ones that I had before. I think the reason for that was because it was pulling up grit with the water, or remnants of the detritus of cutting, all the crystal that it was grinding off, all the agate that it was grinding off, and that was all floating in that oil. And it took me forever to empty that thing. I wish there was a way I could get a scoop down in there and scoop it out, but the side with the blade on it's only this wide and only that deep. And the other side is this wide. I could have got something in there, but I didn't have anything big enough, like a ladle. I should have went in and got a ladle, because I know we've got extras in there. I could have brought one out here and used it, but I got it done. And put new oil in it. I had enough oil left to run one more time, and so I still got to order oil, but I'm going to order another one of these 280 grit wheels too, or two more of these 280 grit wheels. And it should be today or tomorrow when I order those. They'll be here a couple of days. But anyway, sorry, squirrel. I brushed some grit off, or some crystal grit off the table from these rocks. And when I did, I knocked my little flake off that I found somewhere. I think it came off of one of these other rocks. But I wanted to get it off there too, so I don't scratch an agate that I'm working on. And I still haven't changed out this towel yet. I need to do that because it's still got crystal on it. But anyway, so I got all that done. I also cut some other agates. I cut this one again. This was an end piece. That I'd cut, that I didn't get it all cut. And then I cut the rest of this piece, because it was an end cut also. Actually, it goes on this side. But I cut those, and I cut this end piece. This end piece, saved by the tripod on the light, kept it from rolling away too far for me to reach. But this is an end piece that off of the first batch, I think, or off the first cutting. Those were from the first cutting. This, I think I got this in. This isn't this. I got this one in Macanda. This is one of the ones I got from Macanda. But this is the piece that had. And I started to cut it one last time, and it wouldn't cut, so I took it off. The reason why it wouldn't cut was because I had it too close on the vise, because I had it clamped in. This way in the vise. This was in the back, and then this was the first cut off of it. But as this was actually what was stuck in the vise when I cut it the first time. And when I got to this last cut, trying to cut it off, this piece came loose, and I couldn't get it to attach back into the vise good enough, so I just took it out. But I had to fix that, and it's a little wider on this side than it is on this side, because it's hard to get it in there correct. I finally figured it out though. All I had to do was keep the because there's a screw you can tighten down on the vise, because it's got a plate underneath it that runs on a bar where it goes in and out towards the blade, and if you tighten that down so that it doesn't raise up on that as it's cutting, and I had not loosened it up, and was trying to look down, but there's a guard about this high at the front of the saw blade, or front of the saw deck, and you can't see behind it to see whether the back of your rock is straight when you cut them in half. Like I did these last two, I cut the last two of these three that I just cut. I put them in the vise first and cut them in half, and then flipped them around and put them in this way. But if I left that screw loose, I could lift that table up like this, and then I could see whether it was straight this way and straight this way in the vise. But when it comes loose, there's just nothing you can do about it. Sometimes it'll come loose and stay. Other times it won't. But anyway, so now I've got 3, 4, 5 more, 6, 7 more pieces that I can do. I've got enough pieces here to last me for a month, but I need to get some new wheels. Or I'm going to be in a mess, or need a new wheel over here anyway, at least. And I want to try to get some steel plates for this. They're cheaper than the soft plates, and I don't trust these resin plates. I'd rather have steel. I don't think it's holding the diamonds in like it should, or they just got real iffy on their lazy on their quality control, and wasn't able to get the right size diamonds in it or something. I don't know, but it's because it's got high diamonds in that far from the inner center, and that far out from the edge, and one right down the center of what's in between those two areas. There's one in the middle of that somewhere too that leaves scratches, and they won't come out on the next wheel or next disc, which is the 270 grit. It takes forever to get them out of there, but it takes forever to get anything done with a flat lap anyway. It's not as fast as your other wheels, and not as easy to use. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. This one will be out next Friday, I think. Yeah, because I got next Friday's loaded, so it'll be the next Sunday. This one will come out next Sunday, because I've got 2 up. One's going out today for tomorrow, and then I got 1 more left for Friday, and then this one will go up after that. And I'm going to have to work on something in between now and then, probably either these or one of these. I may even work on one of the end pieces on some of these, because this one doesn't look too bad. It's got that Oh, this is a different one. Wow, that looks like so similar. To this one. Similar, but not quite. But I know it's not the same one because it was whole when I cut it. This is off the first cutting of the new batch. Let's move that back there so I don't mistake it. Yeah, this was the one that had the water line in it. But anyway, thanks for watching. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye. Have a good day.